Okay. Well, I've just been on YouTube for a little while and have a little bit to say about some of the new movies that might be coming out that they might be making within the next year. The first one is Dirty Dancing. Now, I love the original, 1987. It was a great movie, a lot of fun, and I do not wish to have it be remade at all. I think that classics like that should just be left alone. But unfortunately, they want to remake everything these days, and there are some remakes that are very well done, and some that are not. And this is one of them that I think should not be remade whatsoever. I don't know really what's going to go on with it, but if they did decide to remake it, and I know a lot of people out there are going to say, well, maybe it's not a good idea, but my opinion for Johnny Castle, the part that Patrick Swayze played so well, I think it should be played by Ian Somerhalder. I all know him as Damon on The Vampire Diaries. He was also played Boone in Lost. He played Adam on Smallville, and he's been in a lot of movies like Marco Polo, Fireball, and a few others. There was a TV show called Young Americans in 2000. Life is a House. And there's been a few other movies, I just can't quite remember them all at the moment. Anyway, I think that he would be great in it, despite what some people might think. A lot of people think he's not a great dancer. I think he's very good. He's a great actor, and he could really do the role quite well, I think. He's pretty close to the same age that Patrick Swayze was. So that would be a good idea, too. But I really don't think they should remake it at all. That's my opinion on that one. The second one is on Stephen King's It. Their remake, they have started filming as of this summer. It will not be out till 2016. Could be sometime next summer. I don't know. They're gonna put it. It's an 1,100-page movie or book. Excuse me. And it's gonna be into 2 movies. The first movie will be of all the kids. The second one will be of the kids as the adults. Now, there was a guy, I can't remember his last name, but his first name is Will. He was in a movie last year or the year before called Maze Runner. They decided that he's the one that's going to play Pennywise, the clown from the movie It. He's only 22. I think he's a little too young. And I really don't think that's a good idea. My opinion, some of the actors that were in the original as kids, I think they should have a part in it as the adults. One name that comes to mind is Seth Green. Seth Green is an incredible actor, and he would be old enough to play one of the older ones of the adults. But Pennywise the clown, I think, or Pennywise himself, should be played by an older actor, somebody with real acting chops. And this guy that they've got, I don't really think he's going to. He's a newcomer, which, yeah, probably is partly why. But I would think that they would try with a remake like this to go out of their way to get somebody who knows what in the heck they're doing. Obviously, if they don't know what in the world they're doing. It's a little nuts, I grant you that. But that's my opinion on that. There are a few others that are being considered for some of the older roles. If I had my choice for one of the older ones, I would love to see Tyler Hoechlin. Now, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's the one from Teen Wolf, the television series, that plays Derek Hale. He would make a great grown-up version of one of the boys. But, you really never know. Also, I would love to see Michael Trevino play one of them. But I doubt that's going to happen. He's got a new series coming up this fall. So, you never know about that. That's my opinion on that. The third one is about the Child's Play. Start with Child's Play 7. The trailers, there are two of them for it. They're both very good. They're very creepy and very scary. And from what I've heard, Child's Play 7 is going to be the final Child's Play in the original Child's Play series. Right now there's only 6, but the 7th one will be the final one. And it will decide if Chucky wins or if the ones that he tries to kill wins, which I think is pretty neat. They're kind of putting a little bit of a spin on it. I like that. It's scarier, which I like that. The original was pretty scary and pretty creepy. And the voice of Chucky will be played by Brad Dourif, which I think is great, because anybody else would be ridiculously nuts. He has a very distinctive voice. He's a great actor, and the way he does Chucky is so cool. I know a lot of you out there are thinking the same thing I am. Without Brad Dourif, Chucky in Child's Play would never have been what it was and what it is. And so I give a lot of credit to Brad Dourif, because they were going to switch his voice with somebody else's voice. A very high-pitched, squeal-like voice. It was a man's voice. And he used his voice in the rehearsal and when they would film and stuff, and they found that his voice was best suited for it, and they were right. Not really sure as to what the whole plot will be, but, and not really sure who's gonna be, a lot of the actors and stuff. But, looks like it's going to be pretty interesting stuff. I cannot wait for that. That's my opinion on that. Then you have the Child's Play remake, which originally they said as soon as they finished Child's Play 6, then they would do a remake. They decided to do one final Child's Play, and then they're going to do Child's Play remake of the original. Now, we all remember the original, which was 1988 is when it came out, which has been quite a long time ago. And it was great. Scary, creepy, and all around a great horror classic. I know most people don't think it's a classic, but come on, it's been more than 20 years. I was only 9 years old when that movie came out. It's been, technically, I'd say, it's been, I would say it's been past 25 years, at least. It's probably been closer to 27. So, come on, it's definitely a classic when you've had that many years. So that the remake is going to be completely all horror, which means no comedy. There might be a little bit more gore than what there was in the original, but that's to be expected with any type of a horror remake like this. Not sure what the cast is going to be yet. But good news is that Brad Dourif has signed on to do the voice of Chucky, at least for the first remake. If the first remake goes really well, then they're going to remake 2 and 3, at least. By that time, they don't know that Brad Dourif is going to sign on or not. And I totally understand that one, because it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. He's quite old as it is, and if they don't get the remake going here sooner or later, they won't have him anymore. So, I'm glad that they're doing it now, and hopefully by next year, by either this Halloween or the following Halloween, we should have Child's Play 7 out, and the remake by then should hopefully be out as well. My thoughts on it are, there are some remakes that should never be, some films that should never be remade. But Child's Play, I think that would be a great idea. Depends on if you like that kind of stuff. And, that's, so I do think it's a good idea on that. That's what I had to say on that one. Also, I saw the trailer for the new Terminator movie. Terminator 5. And it looks like it might reboot the whole franchise. It looks like a pretty awesome film. It might redo the entire, everything. The entire storyline. Which would be very interesting, I think. I'm glad that Arnold Schwarzenegger is back in it, because it wouldn't be a Terminator film without him. But he is getting very much up there in age. And if they do decide to reboot the whole franchise, he may not always be in it. So, you never know on that one. Anyone heard any more news on the Star Wars 7? It looks like it's going to be an interesting series. I know that it is going to consist of 2 films. The 7th and an 8th movie. So there may be 8 films in this whole saga. That is going to be awesome. I am glad to see the original cast is going to be back, because it is time for the original cast to come back. It's been so many years, considering that when the original Star Wars came out in 1977, I wasn't even around. That shows you how long ago it was. You're going on 40 years. Between 39 and 40 years. By the time it comes out next year, it'll be 40. The original Star Wars will be 40 years old. Wow. Did you ever think it would be that old? I didn't. It is very, very interesting. It is a film that I am really excited to see in theaters. And I hope all of you do as well. And also, I have heard that there is a new Amityville called Amityville The Awakening. I saw the trailer tonight for it. And let me tell you, the trailer spooked me. That is one spooky trailer. Now, I used to have all of the Amityville films between DVD and VHS. Only the 5th one I had on VHS. All the others I had on DVD. I got almost all of them back as it is, but there are a lot on the Amityville films, and it's definitely weird. Definitely weird, very, very weird franchise. This might be their way of trying to reboot it, which it's already been rebooted twice. So I don't know why, but I do not think that is a very good idea in some ways. But in this way, it might be. It's pretty interesting stuff. Therefore, you horror movie fans will really be excited to see it, I think. I can't wait for it to come out. I hope it's much better than the remake I saw of Poltergeist. I didn't care much for that. It didn't do much for me. I saw it in theaters and it didn't do very much. Like the remake of Halloween. And the remake of Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie. It sucked. Both of them did. I don't know what in the world he was thinking when he made those movies. It gives Halloween a bad name. I love John Carpenter's films, especially the first Halloween. That's the best. That was the best film that John Carpenter ever did. And, but with some of the others, I'm really excited. So, I really hope that you guys are too. And, I have heard that there may or may not be a remake of a movie called Ghost. Now, some of you might know the film, some of you might not. It starred Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze, and Whoopi Goldberg. And I do not wish to see that being remade. That is also a classic, and if you try to remake it, it's not going to come out that well. Also, another film, when it came out in 1980, was they're trying to do a remake called All of Me, which starred Lily Tomlin and Steve Martin. I love the original. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Do not wish to see it remade whatsoever. Why mess with a classic? I know I've said that before, but why mess with a good thing? And I don't think that's a good idea. Another remake that they're going to try to do is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, those of you who don't know what that is, it came out in 1975. It's a musical about a transvestite vampire who was played by Tim Curry. And some of the music was by Little Nell, as well as Meatloaf. Now, if they do a remake of this, it is going to suck. Big time. I do not think that a remake such as this should be made whatsoever. The original is a classic, and they should not mess with it at all. And I know a lot of people out there are going to agree with me on this. There are some films that should not be remade whatsoever. I have also heard that there's going to be there may be a remake of Ghostbusters. Why? Again, the original is a classic. I can understand them wanting to do a part 3. That would be really cool. But why would you mess with the original by making a remake? A remake of this film would suck. Big time. There should be no remake. I saw the remake of Conan the Barbarian. I've got the first two with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I loved them. The remake sucked. It did not make any sense whatsoever. They need to leave a lot of these movies alone. Now, I've also heard that they may be remaking Independence Day. Again, why would you mess with it? Now, I have heard of other remakes that might be being redone. One is Lost Boys. No, I do not think that is a good idea. Do a Lost Boys 4, which may end up being maybe Lost Girls, or Lost Boys with a werewolf in it, like they ended Part 3. That would be awesome. And at least you have to have Corey Feldman in it. But if you do a remake of that movie, the original is a classic from 1987. To do a remake would be ridiculous. And I don't think that's a good idea. Also, there have been rumors of a Fright Night 3. I don't know if any of you out there would remember, the original Fright Night came out in 1984. Then, and that was the same, these are all the same writer that did all of the Child's Play films, has done all 4 Fright Night movies. The original was in 84, and then that starred Roddy McDowall. Roddy McDowall was also in Part 2, which came out in 1987. And they were both incredible movies. I've got them both. They are great movies. Then they did a remake, which was okay. I got it because it not only is it a vampire, but it's a remake. And it's pretty good. Not as good as the original, it's pretty good. Then they did a remake of Part 2, which was even better than the original remake. I've heard they've got a third one in the can. That would be even more incredible. As long as it was done in the format that Fright Night, the remake of Fright Night 2 was. So, you never know. That could be very interesting. I've also seen a trailer for a Goosebumps movie. I grew up with the series. I love the series. And R.L. Stine knows what he's talking about writing books and stories and stuff. I would love to see it. I think it's going to be very great. Very, very good. And I cannot wait for that either. And I've also heard of a Friday the 13th Part 2 remake. That I cannot wait for. The remake was really good. And we'll see what happens with that. Then there is the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street 2. There may be a remake in that. And the original remake was pretty good. Gotta admit, guys, some of these remakes rock. Some of them are really great. So, you really never know. And to be totally honest with you, some of these remakes I like very much. Some I can't stand. It just depends on the person. Depends on who's in them. Depends on how well they're done. I have heard that there's going to be an Urban Legend 4, which we'll see what happens with that. The first two were pretty good. The third one sucked. But you never know. They might return to the way it was originally. I've also heard of a Tales from the Crypt 4 film. Don't know what it's going to be about yet, but it's supposed to be better than the third one. The first two were really good. And if you're Tales from the Crypt fans, you know what I mean. The third one didn't make any sense, and it sucked. However, it really depends on what they do with those movies. How well they're going to really turn out. But you really never know what's going to happen anytime soon. So, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll do this again sometime. Bye.